Tim Scott. We interviewed him, and shout out to Tim Scott, man. He has a white fiance, but that's neither here nor there. But
why you bring it up then?
well, because it was part of the storyline from the last segment.
You good, yo?
Or shout out to Tim. Shout out to Tim, man. I actually was impressed. I think that I never really got a chance to fully hear him speak before, and I think he articulated himself well. He made a lot of good points on the economic side, but there's one thing that was just a lightning rod. It was when he said that America's not racist, and he kind of doubled down on that. Is he delusional for thinking?
I mean, I think most people, even if you are a conservative white Republican that grew up in the South from 1900 through 1960, they'll admit that the corporation that is the United States of America was built upon racism. The Civil War, what was indicative of that? The healthcare system, real estate, stocks, life insurance. I mean, life insurance was literally built off of the backs of Black bodies. So just because some of us make it, it does not mean that the system overall is not still systemically racist. And I know when people are like, well, don't lean on that. And even with DEI, that was done in affirmative action. I'm like, bro, let's call a spade a spade. And I said it at the end of the show. This is why people don't like politicians. You can believe what you believe, but don't allude or skate around the facts. Like, people may not like some things that I'll say, but I try and lead with like a factual basis first. I think you talked around too many of the points, but then to be that delusional to say that, like I said, Jeb Bush would say America's racist. Mike Pence would say America's racist. And you don't? Come on.
I think, well, first correction, he's actually married now. So congratulations to Tim Scott and his bride. They're not engaged, and they're actually married. So God bless their union. But I will say this, I was gonna ask him, but I didn't really want to, I didn't want to be too combative, but I was going to ask him, like, if he really believed that, or if he was just pandering to his white support base. Because you got to realize Tim Scott's constituents are white people. He's from South Carolina, but his area, the people that vote for Tim Scott are white people, right? That's his base, right? And he's speaking in front of the Republican National Convention. He's speaking in front of a crowd that's probably 90% white, right? So one thing about Tim Scott, he is intelligent. You can't reach that level of success without being intelligent. So a part of me wonders if this is part of the stick. Yeah, this is part of the, it's like we know the real, but this is what I gotta say publicly to make sure that I keep my support base. I'm playing a game. Because I know, like, Trump does the same thing, right? Trump plays the game. He says whatever he needs to say, and all politicians do, honestly, to be fair about it. Every politician says whatever they need to say to pander to their base, right? So I just feel like if your base is white people, we're just not used to that, because our base, Black people's base, is always Black people. For the most part, whether it's clothing, whether it's music, whether it's media, 99.9% of Black people with influence, their base is Black people. So we never really even think about that. How does it feel to be a Black person with influence, with power, and your base, your support group is 99% white?
And a conservative base doesn't love him. That's the part. It's like, okay, why do all that and not get the, like, you're not going to be VP, especially with MAGA VP in there. You think,
but he's risen to the top of the ranks of the Republican Party, though. He is a notable figure inside the Republican Party.
I agree. Tekashi Ray rose to the ranks of music for a time being too. Like, are you happy with yourself and how you did it, though? Some things are just facts. Like, I don't think you can argue when this land was taken away from the natives and all the bloodshed that has happened, to say something as bold as like, this never happened, America's not racist. Like the first derivatives were the products of slavery that were traded here.
But the thing about it is that, so like I said, this is important to kind of keep in mind. His constituents are white, right? So like, even when you say like, you don't think white politicians would say that, I don't agree with that. I think
It was Colin Powell. Colin Powell didn't act like that.
Colin Powell was
a Republican
who voted Democrat for Obama. But Colin Powell wasn't an elected official though. He was a general. So it's kind of a different. But I'll say this though. There's never really been a black Republican to rise to the ranks of Tim Scott. He's probably the highest ranking elected official in modern history. That's a Republican. That's black. If you think about it, who else? Who else has had that level of notoriety that is a black person that's a Republican? That's an elected official.
Clarence Thomas.
He's not an elected official. Clarence Thomas, technically, he's not even supposed to be a Republican, or even though he's definitely conservative, but he's not an elected official. I'm saying like elected official. So he's in it's rare space. But I'll say this: most white people think like him, and this is not a knock on white people, but I'm just saying that it's a disconnect, right? Because I worked in a world full of white people, so I understand that this is one of the main reasons why we're never going to have good race relations in America, because we can't identify with each other. To a black person, when they see a police, they get nervous because they know that anything can happen, right? For a white person, when they see a police, they see a superhero because they only know police from handing out candy canes at Christmas, for going to soccer games. Like, they only know police for being good people. So the idea that a police can beat somebody up and plant drugs on a person is out of the realm of imagination for them, because their reality is so different. So like, to hear like America's a racist country is triggering to white people, because they look at it like, no, this is the greatest country. We give people opportunities. They can't even imagine. No matter how much data that you give them, no matter how much information that you give them, a large majority of white people would not agree with that. They won't agree with it. They're not going to say America's a racist country. But if
you happen to agree to something, then there has to be then accountability. I think we all realize that if reparations came, it would bankrupt the country.
Yeah, but even outside of reparations, because reparations is like, okay, you owe reparations for unpaid debt. You could be a racist country, not even think about reparations, right? But they won't even admit that it's a racist country, though. They won't even admit that prejudice actually is still a major problem in America. Most white people probably, if you took a poll and you said, is prejudice a problem and a major problem in America? Yeah. They would say, no, it's not. We had a black president. We had a black president, right? We have black billionaires. How could you become president if prejudice was a major problem?
That's to minimize liability. Like when whatever happened at the award show back in the day, and they turned that knife into a fork with Young Buck. Why? To prevent the liabilities of it. If you have a populace at scale admit to wrongdoing, then there's payouts that have to come as a result. There's a huge and financial incentive to denying racism. That's my point.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.